So a day or 2 days from the time of this recording, we got the long-awaited, controversial Spider-Man fan film, aka Spider-Man Lotus, aka RCU Spider-Man. To explain what Spider-Man Lotus is, like I said earlier, it's a fan film. It raised over $100,000 for its production, but during the time of its release, it was garnering a lot of negative attention, and rightfully so. These range from racist text messages from the main actor and from the main director of the film, to storyboard artists demanding pay, and then also some stuff about the VFX workers being rushed, which that's more allegedly from what I've heard. As far as I'm aware, they had two VFX teams. The first team were working on the project originally until they felt like they were being overly worked and being overly crunched, and then they left the project. But someone from the second VFX team said that they worked with the previous team before and they never experienced that type of issue. But also in that statement, the second VFX team announced that they were going to leave the project because of the leaked DMs. And I feel the need to say this, but after the release of this film, there were some serious allegations made towards the actor playing as Green Goblin in this movie, and apparently the director was actually trying to cover up these allegations. I know that it's important to listen to both sides of the story, so I'm gonna link the tweet thread of where all these allegations are coming from. As of right now, there's no statement from the Green Goblin actor or the director of the film, so I just want to move on and give my thoughts on the movie. Okay, this is actually kind of embarrassing, but I was gonna grab my notes from my letterbox for the movie review, and Spider-Man Lotus has been removed again. Yep, this is not the first time this has happened. I thought it was gonna be staying up like till forever, but now it's just removed. I'm low-key kind of annoyed because I wrote a lot of stuff in that review, and that was my most liked review on that app, by 3 likes. I don't know if Gavin, the director, was responsible for it or what, but he owes me 3 likes. Luckily, I made a TikTok review of the film. I couldn't upload it to YouTube Shorts because it was 1 minute and 2 seconds long, which is 2 seconds longer than what a YouTube Short allows. Let me play it and I'll add some extra commentary in between scenes. I just watched Spider-Man Lotus. Why did no one tell me that it was 2 hours long? And listen, I'm not basing my thoughts on the controversies that happened behind the scenes or before the film was released, but this movie do be kind of boring. Like, sometimes the film adds these pretentious sequences, which honestly makes the film look more amateurish, and honestly it creates a whole new contrast for when the film actually looks good. So when they do something different, it just shouts, "This ain't your ordinary Spider-Man story, look how different we are. Black and white, edgy, dark, serious. No, please just stick to this." But yes, to add to that, it was as if they were trying to do these sequences to be different from the other Spider-Man films, but they just don't know how to execute it right. But one thing I never got to talk about in my TikTok review was the VFX work. I know a lot of people were clowning on it on Twitter, but for a fan film that had 2 different VFX workers that understandably left the project, it looked kinda good, I'm not gonna lie. Maybe because I know the struggles of what VFX workers have to go through, but it just looks kinda decent. Don't get me wrong, it's not on the level of the leaked Deadpool test movie footage, but for $100,000 it looked better than what The Flash had to do with. Now let's go back to the video. And they did this whole story of Harry Osborn and it just didn't feel like it was needed. Like, there wasn't a reason for me to care about Harry Osborn doing Tic Tacs. And also the scene of him walking through New York just feels so generic and just padding out time. Like, we've seen that sequence in other films before. And to add on to that, when Captain America was running around in Times Square and was looking around, this was him realizing that he's no longer in his present time, but in the future. And it's literally one of the best scenes from the MCU. And they did it again for The Amazing Spider-Man 2, a film that I heavily criticized in my movie review, when Max Dillon walks into Times Square with his whole Electro garb, and all the billboards in Times Square are actually pointing towards him. Because earlier in the film he identified as a nobody, but now everyone is looking at him, but not in the way he wants them to look at him. Meanwhile in Spider-Man Lotus, Harry is looking around, but we don't get a clear look at the billboards because either they don't have the VFX money to actually cover them up, or this is when the VFX team left. So yeah, this was better off being deleted. Let's go back to the video now, shall we? I will say though, this kid carried the film. And everything else is better than Superman Solar. And I get it, I'm brown, but would it hurt you to smile for at least one scene? So yeah, that was my last point. Yeah, the main actor for some reason just never bothers to smile, either in the prologue or in the ending of the film, or when he was giving that inspirational speech to that child who's dying in front of him. In fact, at one point, I thought he was gonna kill this kid. I recall it was the scene when the character Tim asks Spider-Man what happened to the girl in the bridge, and Spider-Man just turns around and it just fades to black, and I thought it just implied that Spider-Man like strangled a kid or something. Like, the film was so tonally boring that if that actually happened, I think it would have raised the bar for that whole movie and would be getting a bit of praise for it. Originally, I gave this film a 1.5 stars on Letterboxd, but because it got removed on Letterboxd, I'm gonna give this a 1-star rating. Apparently, the director wants to do more of these Spider-Man films, and I really hope he doesn't. I'm not saying that because of any of the controversies that are happening, but because it's better to make your own original stories than adapting stories that we've already seen before in other media and really just leeching off the fan base. And that is it. Thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell button to see and hear about future videos that are coming. And also see you next time.